Okay, so for today, we will be discussing yun nga po, things that you will be having for your finals, which is master budget and basically planning, and then differential cost analysis or relevant costing. And I know some of you still have this quite medyo nakakalito pa rin sa inyo. And then responsibility accounting and performance measurements, and then balance scorecards and transfer pricing and pricing decisions. Okay, so yan po ang cover natin tonight. And attending this final coaching actually requires you that you already have studied these things. So if it will be your first time studying this, no, so medyo mahihirapan tayo makasunod, no. But so the expectation is that you already have the not actually an idea, but you should have been able to have a learning or a knowledge about this already, since this final coaching will just give you some of the main points that you need to remember for your examination. Either way, we will be discussing the things that you still need to know and to understand. And this is something that will be helpful for you, and most especially on the things that I think will be very much important for you to understand it, and very much important in answering the examinations. Okay, sige po, start ako with master budget. Okay, so when we are talking about master budget, we are actually talking about planning the short-term goals of the entity. And talking about short-term goals, it's not actually about capital investments or getting a new big companies or acquisitions. No, when we are talking about business planning on a short-term perspective, we're actually talking about profit planning. Okay, we're just talking about profitability. Profit planning refers to the short-term setting of goals and objectives on how to become profitable. Okay, what you have in mind, in a sense that you are actually planning your business or you're planning your operations, since you want to be profitable. Now the question is, how can I be profitable? And the second thing that will come into your mind is, to become profitable, how should I prepare and how should I operate? No, parang ganon. There is a need to plan and budget resources to determine how to properly maximize these resources for the attainment of the entity's goals and objectives. So as you know, ang resources po kasi natin ay scarce, no? In economics, that we are talking about that resources are scarce, but the needs of consumers, or basically the general public, is unlimited, no? And how can we be able to answer that? Applying it in management accounting and applying it on this perspective of operations or a manufacturing entity, well, not actually a manufacturing entity, but any business, no? Because your resources are limited, it is very important that you prepare, and not only prepare but to plan your resources and how to use them very well, no, so para ma-maximize mo siya. Ito lang ang meron ako, so how can I maximize it to be able to get the highest attainable revenue or highest attainable um profit that I can get from them. Okay, so yun po. Budgeting now comes as a highly important factor in planning business operations. Okay, so one tool that you can actually use in planning business operations is budgeting. Okay, and the thing that we will be talking about this afternoon is the not actually the preparation, no, but some of the main points that you just have to understand and to remember in master budget. Okay, so the premise of this is that, wait lang po. The premise of this is that you need to plan your operations so that you can be profitable. Yun yung mismong summary nito eh, no. Now so if you will be asked sa examinations ng bakit po ba tayo budgeting, no, one of the best answers that you can answer is, it's a tool for planning, no, but it's not only used in planning. You can use it in different control scenarios, no, which we will be discussing more no, after this. Para nasa next slide na nga yata yun. Okay. Oops, what's happening? Okay, yun po. So, budgeting is the process where an entity translates their operations in quantitative terms, no? They have their operations in mind, we just have to translate it quantitatively. So nagiging numeric na siya, nagiging financial para na paghahandaan natin ng maayos in terms of the budget itself. Okay. Now, these quantitative terms represent as its planned operations, activities, and production for a specific time period. So medyo time bound lang po ang budgeting, or a master budget is time bound in a sense that it only covers a certain time period and not literally the whole life of the entity, no? And since we are talking about short-term profitability, we are just actually talking about a specific period of time, which can be a month, a quarter, a semester. When I refer to semester, it's a 6 month period, or a biannual period, or an annual period itself, no? So dun lang, kasi kung medyo long term yung budgeting mo, we're not talking about short term planning anymore. Okay, so budgeting will help you in planning your operations, in controlling your operations, and in cost management. Planning operations, because of your budget, it gives you a guidance on how to do things in your operations. Now, you can compare your budgets with what happened actually, and that is actually, or that is what you call control. Okay? So it is not only a planning tool, it also becomes a control tool. And then cost management, in a sense that you are being guided on how you will be able to spend your resources that you have. So it also becomes a tool for cost management. And basically, you are actually using budgets because you want to answer, or you want to achieve something, and you need to plan and strategize for that. And because you have planning and strategy, and you have to apply some strategies on the onset of your operations, then it becomes a tool also for strategic cost management. Okay? Ganun po yung ating premise why we are using budgeting. Okay. Now, what are the benefits of budgeting? First one is it compels managers to think ahead. Okay. You're not just thinking about what is lying in front of you. What happens is that the managers think ahead. What will happen after we apply this, and what will be the results if we apply these things? It also provides an opportunity to evaluate existing activities and evaluate new ones. As I've mentioned earlier, budgeting is actually a tool for control. And since it's a tool for control, you will be able to see what things should be improved, and what things should be stopped, and what things should you continue doing. Okay, so it gives you an opportunity to reevaluate things that are already there, and you can also think about things that you can place, or new things that you can do. Okay, it also aids managers in communicating objectives and coordinating actions across the organization. So the whole organization is actually affected by the budget that you will be preparing. So it actually becomes a communication tool. Communication tool in a sense that you can actually use it to, as I've told you earlier, it's something like you can, as a guidance, you can use it as a guidance platform, no? And when you use it as a guidance platform, you can actually now communicate through that guidance that you will be giving to the whole entity. Okay. And it also provides benchmarks to evaluate subsequent performance. No? As a control function, siya po ang gagamitin mong pangkumpara. Okay? So kung yun yung pangkumpara ko, yung mismong aking budget, 'di ba? Na ay ito dapat sana yung na-achieve natin eh. Over budget ba tayo? Under budget. Okay? Were we able to get a revenue higher than what we budgeted, or did we able to get a cost, or yung actual cost ba natin is lower than what we have budgeted? So your budget becomes a benchmark in evaluating what you have done, or the actual things that you considered, no, in your budgets. Okay, yun po. Okay, so this is the steps on how to prepare. No. The steps, step by step process in the creation of the master budget. So if you already have watched my video in YouTube, This is the way that I have discussed it there. So if not, o di ito po. No? So we start actually with your sales budget. Your sales budget will give to you the number of units you intend to sell and your selling price. And later we will be discussing how to decide for a selling price, which is your pricing decision, much like that. Okay, so you translate the number of units that you sell into your selling price, which will give you your sales revenue, and your sales revenue will be presented here in the sales budget. Now that you have the idea of how many units you want to sell, the next question will be how many units should I produce? Okay, so if this is the number of units that I intend to sell, how many units shall I produce to answer the number of units I want to sell? Ganun po siya. Production budget as to your materials, production budget as to your labor, and production budget as to your overhead. Okay? And then, if you already now have the number of units in mind that you need to produce, or you have already determined na kung ito yung ibebenta ko, ito yung number of units na gusto kong i-produce, then that's the time that you need to purchase what you need to purchase, most especially on your materials. Okay? Kasi parang, di ba, so kung mapapansin nyo, kabit-kabit na siya. Bakit siya kabit-kabit na? Kasi you start with the number of units you intend to sell, and then after that, so kung ito yung ibebenta ko, ilan yung ipoproduce ko ngayon? Pagkatapos kung malaman kung ilan yung ipoproduce ko, eh ilan ba dyang units yung meron pa ako para hindi, kasi hindi naman lahat yun bibilin mo, may ending inventory ka naman, may beginning inventory ka naman, 'di ba? So you will be able to determine that okay, this is the number of units that I need to purchase naman to answer the production requirements, and because my production requirements will be able to affect the number of units that I will sell. Okay? After you have your purchases budget, which relate to any inventory levels, you proceed now with your cost of goods sold budget. So it's actually just a translation of your sales budget into cost, no? Kasi sa production and purchases budget, dyan mo makukuha yung cost information kung magkano mo na-produce isa. So if you already have the amount kung magkano talaga siya isa pinoproduce, then you just translate the number of units that you intend to sell with the cost per unit, no? So it's just a translation of sales revenue to cost of goods sold so that you will be getting your budgeted gross profit. Okay? Ganun siya. And then, kung meron ka ng gross profit o ibabangga mo siya, matching principle na lang tayo, dun po sa lahat ng expenses that you are expecting to spend for, or expenses that you will be incurring. Kaya itong buong to ay mabubuo mo yung income statement mo. Kasi this is your sales, and then you get your cost of production from these budgets, and you get your cost of goods sold, which will give you your gross profit less operating expenses, and that is your budgeted net income, and your budgeted net income can be seen in your budgeted income statement. Okay? So coming from that, syempre, meron tayong mga things that you will be spending and the amounts of cash that you will be receiving. The amounts of cash that you will be receiving will be coming from your sales budget, and the amount of cash that you will be spending for, you have something to spend for your purchases, you have something to spend for the payment of payroll for direct labor, there are overheads that requires cash outlay, and there are operating expenses that also needs cash outlay. Okay, so that will be connected to your cash budget, and your cash budget will also give you, or will give you the information that okay, so if this is the level of cash that I intend to have at the end of the period, so magse-set ka na ngayon ng gusto kong ending balance ng cash, meron kang minimum requirement, pwede kang maglagay ng ganon. So napaplano mo kung kailangan mo pa bang umutang or hindi, or what are the different kinds of financing that you can apply, so you can just get a loan and borrow, and then it has ay may kakibat siyang interest, 'di ba? So you have to also plan for that. And also, not only about interest, syempre meron din tayong um ang tawag dito, pwede ka rin namang mag-issue ng shares, no? Kung ayaw mong mag-utang, edi mag-issue ka na lang ng shares. Although company or corporation ownership would really change, no? Parang ganon. Okay, so that will be included in your cash budget. Okay, kasama rin po kasi sa cash budget, baka meron kang ini-intend na ibenta, ay sorry, ibenta, na bilhin na long-term fixed assets. So, kailangan ma-consider mo din siya doon kasi gagastosan mo yun. Okay? So, if you have these information already and then alongside all of your accounts, no, then you can prepare your pro forma financial statements na nandun po yung all other accounts natin. Like for your balance sheet, your cash receivables, and then your inventory balances, and then your liabilities, any long-term investments, and then your equity. So basically, kabit-kabit po yan until you are able to prepare your pro forma financial statements. And on a managerial accounting perspective, these pro forma financial statements are used now para po maging benchmark nyo ng actual results. And then dahil control function nga po ang naihahatid sa atin ng budgeting, makikita po natin may mga items po tayong nag-over budget at meron naman po tayong nag-under budget. And with that, you can be able to determine kung favorable or hindi yung nangyari. After you have done your variance analysis, then that is the time that you are now actually using it more as a control tool. Now that we have done variance analysis, the next step is, so kung nalaman na natin to, what are the things that we should continue doing, what are the things that we should improve, and what are the things that we should stop doing. Okay? So yun po yun. Let's solve some problems. This is problem 1. Okay. Ganito po, ano, yung pagpe-prepare po ng master budget starting from sales to production to purchases to COGS to operating expenses down to your income statement and balance sheet, na-discuss po natin yon sa YouTube video. So, kung hindi nyo pa po napapanood or kung hindi nyo pa po alang mag-prepare ng master budget from start to end, doon nyo po siya panonoorin. Ang i-discuss po natin this evening is yung mga one-shot questions. Kasi malamang sa malamang, hindi naman po kayo matatanong sa final exam ng chain questions ng budgeting na sobrang daming items tapos pagagawain kayo from sales budget to your pro forma FS. Hindi po ganun. Ang tanungan po natin sa examination kapag ka-budgeting, mga one shot lang para mga ganito lang. Excuse me. Meron lang tayong info, tapos tatanungin lang kayo ng mga production requirements, expected revenue, expected net income. Ganun lang po kasi siya. One secret that you need to remember, hindi nga siya secret, no? One tip. One tip that you need to remember po. Wait lang. Okay. One tip that I will be giving you po tungkol sa pagsasagot po ng questions about budgeting. Ang budgeting po kasi, hindi mo masyadong gagamitan ng masyadong malalim na analysis. Kasi, sa totoo lang, susundan nyo lang po kung ano yung sinabi sa tanong. Problems about budgeting will actually be giving you instructions as a production officer on what to do. Parang ganun eh. Katulad nito, the inventory should be, the ending inventory should be equal to 40%. So wala kang gagalawin doon. You just really have to get the 40% to get that inventory, no? So, wag kayong masyadong mag-overanalyze pag budgeting questions kasi the question itself would actually will be giving you everything that you need to know, no? Although hindi natin may iwasan, meron tayong mga bagay na medyo silent in nature, pero malalaman nyo naman siya as you go along your equations, no? Kaya ang suggestion ko sa inyo kapag ka po budgeting, basahin nyo lang mabuti yung tanong kasi medyo instruction-based ang tanong ng budgeting. Susundin mo lang kung ano yung sinabi dun sa problem. Okay? So, try natin to. Budgeted sales for the first 6 months of Porter Corporation are listed below. So we have January, February, March, April, May, and June. Porter Corporation has a policy of maintaining an inventory of finished goods equal to 40% of the next month's budgeted sales. So yan sinasabi ko sa inyo. Susundin nyo lang kung ano yung sinabi. So kung ano man yung next month's budgeted sales, kuhanan mo lang ng 40%, yun na yung ending inventory mo. Okay? If Porter Corporation plans to produce 6,000 units in June, what are the budgeted sales for July? So this is how we do it. Your beginning inventory for June is actually the ending inventory for May. Eh ang sabi, to get your ending inventory, it's 40% of the next period sales. So the ending inventory for May is actually 40% of the number of units you intend to sell in June. If the number of units that you intend to sell for June is 4,000, just get the 40% of that, the ending inventory for May, which will be brought forward to become beginning inventory for June, that's 1,600 units. Okay? Huwag kayong malilito sa mga beginning ending inventory. Just always remember that the ending inventory of the previous period will just be turned over as your beginning inventory for the next period. Okay? Yun po yun. And then yung production po natin ng June, add po natin, which is 6,000 units. Yun po kasi yung pinaplano nilang i-produce ng June. Okay? Ang tanong po sa atin ay budgeted sales for July. So paano na po natin kukunin yon? Ma-minus muna po yung June sales. Bakit ganon? If this is your beginning inventory and this is your production, ibabawas mo naman yung lalabas ng warehouse na natapos mo for selling, 'di ba? So binenta mo yung 4,000 units, ang matitira sa iyo 3,600 units. Eh sabi natin, ang tanong kasi sa inyo, budgeted sales for July. Eh sabi natin, ang ending inventory is 40% of the sales of the next period. So, your 3,600 units represents the 40% of the sales next period. So, just have to divide it by 40%. Okay? So, 3,600 ending inventory for June divided by 40% will give you 9,000 units, which is your sales for July, which is letter C. Yan. Yan po yung sinasabi ko sa inyo. Pag ang budgeting po na tanong sa examination, one shot lang. Mag-chain questions lang, dalawa, tatlo lang. Pero hindi kayo pagagawin ng buong master budget na chain questions. Hindi ganon. Usually, questions about budgeting would really be one shot lang. Sang tanong, sang sagot. Okay? So, yan po. Diretso tayo ng next problem. Okay, so budgeted sales for Knox Incorporated for the first quarter are shown below. So we have 35,000, 25,000, and 32,000 units no ng sales. Okay? The company has a policy that requires ending inventory to be 10% of the following period sales. So ganun din. So if you're talking about January and ending inventory for January, it'll just be 10% of what this is. Ganun lang, di ba? Okay. Assuming that the company follows this policy, what quantity of production should be scheduled for February? So ang tanong po sa inyo ay number of units to be produced by the next month. So ganito po gagawin natin. Your ending inventory in February is 3,200 units. And where did this come from? 32,000 multiplied by 10%. Yan po kasi ang inyong required balance ng ending inventory for February. 10% of the next period sales. So that if your next period sales is 32,000, so it's 3,200. Okay? And then, i-add mo yung sales na gusto mong mangyari for February, which is 25,000. So you get 28,200. Ano po yung 28,200? Kung ito yung ending inventory ko at ito po yung gusto kong ibenta, ibig sabihin kailangan meron akong 28,200. Okay? Ganun nyo siya i-interpret ha para mas naiintindihan nyo. Kung meron akong 3,200 units na gustong i-retain as ending inventory at ibebenta ko yung 25,000, ibig sabihin kailangan kong makagawa ng 28,200. Yun lang sana. Kaso meron kang i-consider na beginning inventory na, meron pa pala ako nito. Kaya ito lang ang ipoproduce ko. Saan nakuha tong 2,500? Okay. The beginning inventory for February is actually the ending inventory for January naman, no? So kung kung ending inventory ng January, ano 'yon? February sales na 10%. So yun yung beginning inventory ng February, ending inventory ng January, okay? Which is 25,000 times 10%, 2,500 units, okay? So parang ang dating, if I need to produce 28,200 pero meron pa pala akong 2,500 units, then the number of units I need to produce for February is only 25,700, which is letter D. yung tanong natin ay production budget. So kapag ka meron ng mga follow-up na information tungkol sa materials, o yun na, you will translate the 25,700 units depende sa kung ilang pounds ng material ba kada isang unit. So pwedeng lalabas na yung tanong na 1 unit requires 5 pounds of material, or di times 5, ganun na. Tapos consider mo na lang din uli yung mga beginning and ending inventory ng materials mo. Okay? O di po kaya labor naman ang tanong, sasabihin sa inyo. Each unit is being produced at 3 hours and hourly rate is 27 pesos, o di 25,700 times 3 hours times 27, o gano'n na siya. O di po kaya overhead is applied pwedeng on the basis of direct labor hours. Tapos may rate lang din ng variable tsaka fixed overhead. Okay? So yun na yun. So yun yung mga possible questions na itatanong sa inyo. Merong production requirements, no, nakuha nyo na yung production requirements, ta-translate nyo naman siya into materials, labor, or overhead. Okay? So pagka ganun yung tanong, pwede kayo idiretso sa tanong naman na how much is the production cost per unit? So pag-aadin mo na yung direct materials per unit, direct labor per unit, variable overhead per unit, at saka fixed overhead per unit. Meron ka ng cost of producing 1 unit. Which is, pwede ka na rin dumiretso kapag ka naman dire-diretso na yung tanong mo on that scenario, may chain, ay hindi man chain, pero para may follow-up question ka na ganun, na meron ka ng cost per unit. So you just have to multiply the number of units that you sold to that cost per unit and you will be able to get your cost of goods sold. And because you have your cost of goods sold, matatanong ka na ng gross profit. Okay? So, yon. Hindi man kayo pagawin ng buong master budget, no? And under certain circumstances, ibibigay na sa inyo yung production requirements. You just go with the flow with the question. Kung ano yung meron natin, yung wala pa. Pag wala pa, hanapin mo. Pag binigay na, swerte mo. Okay? Ganun lang. Pero ang budgeting questions, kung ano yung sinabi sa problem, susundin mo. Pag sinabing 40%, 40% talaga. Pag sinabing 10%, 10% talaga. Wala kang assumption sa gagawin. Assuming ka pa naman. De joke lang. No, wala ka nang gagawin ng mga ganun, no? Kung ano yung sinabi sa problem, sundin mo. Okay? Dito naman tayo. Paano naman kapag binigay na yung production? Ito yung sinasabi ko sa inyo. Nagbigay na ng production requirements, materials naman ang tinatanong sa inyo. So inventory lang naman 'yan, no? Inventory lang naman pag ang tanong sa inyo materials o kaya production, usually inventory lang 'yan. Okay? Binigay na 200,000 units daw. 2 pounds daw kada isa. The projected beginning and ending inventory is this one. So 2,000 beginning, 10,000 ending. Ilan daw ang bibilin? Okay. So you start with your ending inventory of 10,000 pounds. Tapos, if I need to produce 200,000 units and it requires 2 pounds of materials, so my production needs would be 200,000 times 2, which is 400,000. So, ilan lahat ng inventory na kailangan ko? Kung kailangan kong ng 10,000, tapos 400,000 yung kailangan ko sa production, I need a total of 410,000. However, I already have 2,000 units with me or 2,000 pounds with me. Then the purchase requirements or the number of pounds of materials that I just need to purchase is 408,000 na lang. Okay? Hindi nyo kailangan magkabisado or magkabisote ng formula. Kasi ganito nyo lang siya i-explain. Meron na akong gustong matirang 10,000. Tapos ang kailangan kong gamitin sa production, 400,000. So all in all, ang kailangan ko 410. Meron pa akong 2,000 dyan. So hindi ko kailangan bumili ng lahat ng 410. May 2,000 pa ako dyan eh. Yung 408 lang yung bibilin ko. Para makuha ko yung 410. Yung 410 na yan, 400 gagamitin ko. 10,000 turnover ko next period. Ganun lang. Explain nyo siya sa sarili nyo. Huwag kayong masanay sa formulas na deduct beginning inventory. Wag kayong maging ganong kabisote. You will not be a good decision maker if you're just making asa on formulas. Okay? Hindi kayo gagaling mag-isip kapag ang ginagamit nyo ay formula. kapag ka po kayo ay management accountants na at kayo po ay nagtatrabaho na talaga on an actual operational perspective, wala naman pong formulas na gagamitin doon. Idedepende nyo po talaga yung sarili nyo sa actual circumstances na nangyayari sa paligid ng ng operations nyo. Okay? Wala namang problem solving doon. At ang ipa-problem solving nyo doon is the actual. What's really happening in front of you. Kung kabisote kayo, you will really not be a good decision maker. Okay? Diretso ako. Problem 4. Okay. Dito naman po ay tinatranslate naman natin yung ating production requirements into labor. Okay? So, madali lang naman yung mga tanong sa labor kasi usually naman po, binibigay naman sa problem kung ilang hours ang kailangan para mag-produce ng isang unit at kada isang oras magkano. Pwera na lang kung ang examiner nyo ay masyadong creative na ang binigay sa inyo ay yung mismong direct labor budget, working backwards, ang tanong sa inyo, how much is the labor rate per unit? Okay? So, kung medyo kailangan nyo ring paghandaan yon, kung sakaling ganun yung examiner nyo at ang tanungan niya ay working backwards, medyo babalik ta rin yung perspektibo nyo. Given naman yung endpoint, you need to go to the starting point. Okay? Baka may ganun tanong, no? But if the questions would really be yun parang straightforward, so production requirements, you just have to translate it to direct labor budget by multiplying it to the number of units that the number of hours that you need in order for you to produce the product, and per hour magkano. Okay? So, yun naman yung mga dapat nyo lang tandaan pag direct labor ang tanungan. Harrison Company manufactures card tables. The company has a policy of maintaining a finished goods inventory 40% of the next month's planned sales. Each card table requires 3 hours of labor. O yun na. O, wala ka ng problema. Any number of units times 3, yun yung required hours. And if you already have the amount per hour paid, much better, mas mabilis. Okay? Ito na yung planned sales, 4,000, 5,000, 3,000 for April, May, and June. How much is the direct labor budgeted cost for May? So, your ending inventory for May is 40% of your sales. For June, I just have to check. Okay. So 3,000 multiplied by 40%, that's 1,200. So it's here 1,200, and then you add your sales requirement, which is 5,000. So all in all, dapat po ang ma-produce 6,200 units. However, the ending inventory for April will be your beginning inventory for May, which is 1,600, which comes from 5,000 sales for May multiplied by 40%. 40%, di ba? Bakit 1.6? Teka nga. 1.6 divided by 0.4. Okay. Wait, nalito. Parang nalito yung problem. Para ako rin nalito Wait lang sorry. Okay. The beginning inventory in May is the ending inventory for April. If the ending inventory and then the sales for May is 5,000. Finished goods inventory is 40% of the next month's planned sales. So if your ending inventory for April is 40% of the next month's sales, which is 5,000. Mali yung problem. Sorry. So that's 5,000 multiplied by 40%. That's actually 2,000. Mali po ito. 2,000 po ito. So that would be, sulat ko na. Oops. Okay, so this becomes 2,000. Nalito. Kinuha yung 4,000 sa, wait lang, may chat tayo. Hello po sir, tama po yata sir. Oo nga teka nga. Wait lang, nalito. Teka, beginning inventory for May. Balikan ko kayo dito sa problem 4. Wait lang. Ganyan talaga pag live. Joke lang. Okay, teka. Ako rin nalito Diretso po tayo ng problem 5. Balikan ko kayo sa problem 4. after the break. May break naman tayo later after differential cost analysis para hindi sayang yung oras natin. Okay, pero thank you dun sa nag PM. Ayun. Kasi kung ako nalito, di lalo kayo nalito, di ba? So sorry for that. Diretso muna tayo ng problem 5, then diretso ako ng differential cost analysis. Sir, tama po kasi yung ending ng April, di ba po, beginning ng May? O nga naman. So tama. Okay, okay. Ending ng April, di ba, beginning ng May. So kung ending ng April, oo nga, no? Okay, okay, sige. Sige, sige. That's well noted. Thank you po sa mga nag-message. Ako yung nalito. Okay, sige, sige. Thank you. Thank you po sa mga nag-message. Yan. That shows that you already know the things you need to do. That's nice. Sige. Thank you po for that sa mga nagme-message po. Okay. Sige. Diretso muna ako problem 5. Tapos balikan natin yung problem 4 after the break. Okay? Para di sayang oras. Okay, problem 5. For the month of October, P Corporation predicts total cash collections to be 1 million. Okay. Kapag ka po ang tanong sa inyo ay cash budget, huwag nyo pong kakalimutan yung mga potential things that really affects your cash budget. Una sa lahat, yun pong cash collections nyo. Saan nyo po makukuha yung cash collections? Sa sales budget, tapos di ba may mga problem na hindi naman lahat nare-receive agad, di ba? Swerte mo kung ang problem mo kung ano yung sales 100% mako-collect mo agad. Paano kung hindi, 'di ba? Merong mga credit sales siya tapos 70% collected ng first month tapos 30% collected ng second month. 'Di ba may mga ganon, no? So when that happens, mga kapatid, ang lagi niyo pong iisipin, at the month of consideration for my problem, magkano ba talaga ang aking cash collection? Okay, so that's one thing. Another thing, you have many things that you can get for cash outlay. Cash outlay for purchases of materials, cash outlay for payment of your labor, and there are also overhead items that you need to pay for like utilities and rent. But don't forget kasi minsan nalilito. Total overhead, yung inilalagay sa cash outlay, baka makalimutan may depreciation. And you never pay cash for depreciation, right? So kapag ka po kayo ay tinatanong ng tungkol sa cash outlay in cases of overhead, huwag nyo pong kakalimutan, hanapin nyo agad kung meron pong depreciation. Okay? Na information. Kasi kapag may depreciation information na hindi nyo siya sasama sa cash outlay, okay? Baka mailagay nyo po kasi yung depreciation sa cash outlay, mamamali na po agad kayo doon. Okay? Ano pa po bang cash outlay? Cash outlay labor overhead, ayan, operating expenses, yan. Okay? So, baka masama mo uli yung operating expenses ng depreciation ng administrative equipment. So, huwag nyo rin kakalimutan yun. Okay? So, lahat ng cash outlay na yon. And then, cash outlay as to purchases of new asset. Ayan, mga ganyan. Okay? Sasama nyo po yon. Kasi pag nag-compare po kayo ng cash collections versus cash outlay, and then you will be relating it sa beginning and ending balances ng cash, doon nyo po kasi malalaman kung pasok po ba siya sa cash requirement at the end of the period or kailangan mo ng additional financing. Ano po yung two kinds natin ng additional financing? It's either making utang through loan, so may additional liability, or issuance of shares. Kung hindi man po corporation yung company at baka naman po sole prop or partnership, additional cash investments. So depende sa problem. Okay? Pero lagi nyo naman tatandaan, ganito, kabit-kabit, di ba? Kung may additional financing needed at dun sa additional financing needed ay liability ang ginamit mo, umutang ka, so expect mo na may cash outlay ka din for interest. Okay? Yan yung lahat ng mga bagay na dapat yung tandaan pag cash budget. And then i-highlight nyo agad sa question, magkano ang required balance ng cash at the end of each month and at the end of each quarter. Okay? Kasi yun yung magiging determining point nyo. No? For example, ending balance ng cash mo, 20,000. What if your required ending balance is 50,000? Kulang ka ng 30,000, and then if the problem tells you that the way to finance it is through getting a loan, so you get that 30,000 loan, but take into consideration the percentage of interest. And dapat masabi sa problem kailan babayaran at kailan yung interest babayaran. Okay? Kasi sasama mo yun sa consideration. May mga problem po na April, May, June, kunyari. Pag inutang mo ng April, pinababayaran sa'yo ng June. So kasama siya as repayment sa June. At kasama pong babayaran yung interest sa June din. Di ba? So tandaan nyo lagi, pag may financing or additional financing na nangyayari, may interest na kasama yon. At mahalaga, kailan po ba babayaran? Okay? Yun po. For the month of October, P Corporation predicts total cash collections to be 1 million. Beginning cash balance si 50. Tapos sinabi naman dito diretso magbaborrow daw ng 70,000. Okay? So if their desired ending cash balance is 30, then your cash disbursements should just be how much? So your beginning balance is 50,000. You add your collections of 1 million and you add 70,000. So lahat pong yan, meron kang 50, meron kang makokollect na 1 million, nag-borrow ka pa ng 70, all in all, you have 1,120,000. If your ending your ending cash balance is 30,000, then your disbursement should just only be 1,090,000. Letter A. Yung mga ganitong tipo ng tanong ng cash, madali-dali pa yan. Madali pa yan no? Pero yung in-explain ko kanina na dire-diretso, huwag niyong kakalimutan yon ha, yung mga ganon. Consider nyo lagi, again, mga cash collections mo, kung sakaling may percentage of collection sa receivables, consider mo yon. Cash outlay for production, cash outlay for labor, materials, overhead, except depreciation, and then cash outlay for operating expenses, again, except depreciation and other non-cash expenses. Mga gains and losses natin, minsan ganun, di ba? No, check nyo mabuti kasi hindi naman gains and losses ang may effect sa cash flow, di ba? So babalik ka rin ng konsepto ng cash flow, no? Ang may effect yung mismong cash collection mo, di ba? Ayan, so mga ganon. Okay? And then remember, kung meron pong required ending balance, i-check kung paano po nag-additional financing ang company. At kung sakaling pong utang ang gagamitin nilang additional financing, kailangan nyo pong ma-determine kung magkano yung uutangin, kailan babayaran, magkano ang interest rate, at kailan babayaran yung interest. Kasi kasama po siya sa cash outflow mo kung sakaling pinababayaran din sa iyo yung interest within the quarter. Okay, so I hope that would suffice. Balik po tayo ng problem for later after the break. Okay, diretso na po ako ng differential cost analysis. Ayan. Medyo maraming nalilito here kasi hindi nila alam kung ano i-consider. More so if the questions are really, really creative, no? I can't say it's the hardest topic, but I should say. Parang it's the hardest topic that management accounting students actually encounter. Kasi ano daw, parang nahihirapan sila in a sense that hindi nila, nalilito sila sa i-consider at hindi. Which is, kaya nga po talaga ganun yung tanong kasi nga po, tinetest dito yung skills nyo na on an actual perspective, what should really be considered in making a decision or not. Okay? Parang ganon. So let's start naman here with differential cost analysis. I can see my students from 2.4 and 2.10 entering one by one. So mga nag-quiz yata. So hello sa inyo. Yung mga team babies dyan ng MA 2.4 and 2.10. Ayun, sige. Yan, we're now 82. Kanina 50 plus lang. So thank you for that. Okay, diretso po tayo. Okay, so the decision-making process, balikan lang po natin. Siyempre, iisipin mo ano ba yung didesisyonan natin, di ba? Tapos, pag nalaman mo na kung ano yung didesisyonan nyo is ano po ba yung mga choices na pwede nating piliin, no? What are the alternative courses of action that we have in that specific thing that we need to work on, no, or to solve. And then from each alternative that you have, collect information, pag-aaralan mo siya mabuti. Pag-aaralan mo isa kasi kailangan mo siyang pag-aaralan dahil pipiliin mo yung magiging preferred course of action mo. And syempre, ang pipiliin mong course of action is something na magiging beneficial sa'yo, di ba? And then from that is you will assess the decision that you've made. Kasi syempre, mamimili ka na from that decision that you did. Mamimili ka na for a certain decision that you're actually into. And then, hindi kasi doon natatapos yun na kapag ka nakapili ka na ng something, yun na yun, di ba? You have to evaluate it. What is the effect of the decision that we made? Okay? So, yun po. Okay. So, ang makakatulong po talaga sa inyo in deciding for something, primarily data, and specifically accounting data, which you can use historical financial information. However, hindi lang kasi historical financial information. May mga qualitative information ka rin na kailangan i-consider, no? Although much of our discussion about differential cost analysis is actually about more numeric, 'di ba? More quantitative. But there might be cases that will be asked sa problem na if you do this, this will be the implication. If you do that, this is the implication. Okay? So you will be selecting the best choice in your ABCD sa tanong, 'di ba? So i-evaluate niyo siyang mabuti. Although questions about differential cost analysis is actually about quantitative information, which is ang sinasabi kong quantitative information na kailangan nyo i-consider is relevant cost. Ano lamang po yung related dun sa decision or problem na sinosolve natin or dinidesisyonan natin. Okay? So, dito natin pag-uusapan, ano lang yung relevant dun sa pinag-iisipan natin. Okay. Number one, irrelevant na po ang sunk cost. Balikan natin yung konsepto ng sunk cost. Mga bagay na na-incur mo na, nagastos mo na, whatever course of action that has already been incurred. So, hindi mo na siya mababalik. Okay? And then, pag out-of-pocket cost naman, that is actually relevant because it needs a future outlay of cash that will be relevant to the decision that you need to make because there's a requirement for you to really settle it through cash. No? So, that's really relevant. Also, relevant din po sa decisions natin ng opportunity cost because if we select this alternative, ano yung mawawala sa atin on the other side? And if we select this other side, ano naman yung mawawala sa atin in choosing this over this one? Okay? So, relevant din po sa decisions natin yung opportunity cost. Okay? Ayun. Sige. Now, always remember in decision making, you will be checking the relevant benefits and the relevant benefits should exceed the relevant cost, no? It's not dito, hindi sapat na meron kang makuhang endpoint lang. Parang ganon, no? Hindi sapat na may na-compute ka lang. It's one thing that you need to do in decision making is to check the relevant benefits on them. Okay? So, ganon. It should be noted, however, katulad ng sinabi ko kanina, you should also look on other qualitative factors. If we choose, for example, if we choose this alternative, you will have lower cost of production due to lower labor cost, pero marami pa lang mawawala ng trabaho dahil dun sa iyong gagawing desisyon. So, yung mga ganong senaryo, may konting drama na sa buhay yung kailangan mo i-consider, you also need to consider that as a manager. Okay, so may mga ethical considerations na rin tayo. Meron tayong lower cost of production because of a certain decision to dump things like your wastes in the river, 'di ba? So yes, makakabawas siya ng costs mo sa pag-aasikaso ng basura. 'Di ba? May mga ganyang cost ang company din eh. Pero ethically, it's not correct, no? Bababa ang cost mo because of that, but it's not correct. It's not really ethical, no? Sustainability na yung pinag-uusapan, environment na, you also need to consider that as a manager. Okay. Sige, diretso tayo. Let's have a problem. This is a problem naman about make or buy decision. Okay, so Knox company uses 10,000 units of a part in its production process. Cost to make is 12 na materials, 25 na labor, and 30 na overhead. And then applied fixed overhead is 30. Tapos, kung may nag-o-offer sa kanya na I'll just supply that to you for 55 isa. Okay? Kung sakali daw pong bibilin, 70% would continue dun sa iyong fixed overhead. No? So, what would be the best decision? Mali ito ha, cost to buy yan. Teka. Cost to buy. Cost to buy po kasi yan. Okay. So, your cost to buy is 55. So, 55 isa. What will be your cost to manufacture ngayon? So, yung 12, 25, and 13. Tapos, kung 70% would continue in buying. So, in manufacturing, yung kabaliktaran. Yung 30%, which is 9. So, 12, 25, 13, and 9, 59. So, 59 minus 55 is 4 times 10,000. You're better off by 40,000 in buying the part. Okay? Kasi mas mura mag-buy 55 because if you manufacture is 59. Okay? Any questions with this problem 6? Okay, ganun lang ha. Usually nga pala mga kapatid, kapag ka po kapag ka relevant costing, hindi ko naman sa sinasabing hard and fast. Hindi ko sinasabing hard rule talagang na siya, yun na siya, no? Pero madalas kasi kapag ka make or buy decision, kung ano yung fixed cost, minsan yun ang irrelevant sa decision eh. Kasi whether you make, whether you buy, whatever alternative, you will still be incurring the fixed cost. 'Di ba? Unless sabihin sa problem, katulad nito, na merong certain percentage of overhead na mawawala or certain percentage ng overhead na madadagdag when you choose one decision over the other. So, ang technique, titignan nyo mabuti. Kung ang cost ay hindi naman magbabago in option A and option B, edi irrelevant siya sa decision. Wala naman pala magbabago eh. Pero, pag sa option A, ganito siya, tapos sa option B, ganito siya, magkaiba, ibig sabihin, relevant siya sa decision mo. Kaya nga differential cost eh. Nagkakaroon ka ng difference over the other, no? Pag itong alternative yung kinonsider ko, ito yung mangyayari. Pag ito, ganito siya, no? So magkaiba, relevant siya sa decision. Pero kapag two alternatives pero pareho lang siya, usually fixed cost yung ganyan, you will still be incurring it whatever alternative you have, irrelevant yon sa decision natin. Okay, diretso ako. Problem 7 naman is a scarce resource, no? You have 2 product lines or 3 product lines, so sales mix, and then your what you need to consider is you will just be maximizing the production facility that you have because you don't have all the resources to do it. Parang in a perfect world, you can sell all these product X and product Y sana in a perfect world. Pero dahil limited ka lamang sa 25,000 hours of production, hanggang dun ka lang. Okay? So ano ang technique kapag ganyan? You will focus your operations on the product that will give you more contribution margin per scarce resource. And when I say scarce resource in this problem, it's the number of hours of production. So you check. Product X has a contribution margin of $50 per unit pag binenta, and then product Y naman is 64. Pero check nyo per number of hours ng machine time, yun yung ating scarce resource na tinutukoy dito, kung ano ba yung mas makaka-contribute ng malaki sa atin. Turns out, sa unang tingin kasi ganito, mas magiging profitable tayo kay product Y kasi mas malaki CM niya 64. Pero tingnan niyo mabuti. If the contribution margin of X is 50 divided by 5 hours of machine time, kada isang machine time, ang CM mo sa kanya talaga ay $10. 50 divided by 5, 10. Kung magkano naman pa yung product Y, 64 divided by 8. So 64 divided by 8, nag-calculate pa talaga ako 8. Okay? So 64 64 divided by 8 is $8. So kung titingnan mo ngayon, ay per scarce resource pala mas malaki kikitain ko kay product X. Kasi 64 divided by 8, $8 lang eh. So dito ako magfo-focus. Okay? So the company wants to dedicate 80% of its machine time dun po sa produkto that will give them more income. Ngayon, ang tanong, kung i-dedicate natin yung 80% ng 25,000 hours, kanino natin siya ibibigay? Kay X or kay Y? Siyempre kay X, di ba? Kasi ang sabi, ibigay daw po natin yung resource natin doon sa mas malaking CM per scarce resource. Okay? The item or the product that will give you the most income. So what happens is 25,000 multiplied by 80%, that is 20,000 hours. And that 20,000 hours will now go to X. Okay? 20,000 divided by 5 hours per unit. Oh, ganito ha. Teka, ulitin natin. So, yung 25,000 hours na meron ka, 80% niya mapupunta na kay X. So, kay product X na agad yung 20,000 hours of production mo. Ganun siya. Okay. Now, ang sabi natin kay X, ang requirement sa kanya, 5 hours of machine time. So, 20,000 divided by 5. Okay? So, makakagawa ka ng 4,000 units in utilizing that 20,000 hours. Okay? So, 4,000 units multiplied by $50 na CM per unit. Take note ha, yung CM per unit na yung ginamit ha, kasi nakuha na natin yung number of units na ipoproduce. By units na siya, kaya CM per unit. Baka malito kasi kayo. Baka ma-multiply nyo yung 4,000 sa 10. Hindi. Ang 10, pang-check nyo lang yon ng contribution margin per scarce resource. Okay? Pang-check nyo lang siya ng contribution margin per scarce resource. So baka kalituhan nyo. So 4,000 times per unit na tayo ha. 4,000 times 50, so that's 200,000. Ngayon, kung 20,000, kung 25,000 hours, yung 20%, yung matitira, yung 5,000, doon na siya sa product Y. So 5,000 hours divided by 8, that's 625 units times CM per unit of 64, that's 40. So your total contribution margin in selling the item that has the most contribution margin per scarce resource is 240,000. Letter B. Ayun. Always remember, in problems about contribution margin per scarce resource, you just have to get the contribution margin per scarce resource of all the product lines the company has. Prioritize the item or the product line that will give you the most contribution margin per scarce resource. You will prioritize and give them the highest number of hours based on what the problem tells you. If the problem tells you that whatever you prioritize, you give 80% of your production to it, then that's it. So, susundin mo. Okay? Ganun yon. Basta ang mahalaga makuha mo dito, what is your priority? Okay? Yung priority ang kailangan mong maano sa kanya. Wait lang. May off lang ako. Ingay. Okay. Okay, so yan po yung CM per scarce resource. Diretso naman tayo ng questions about eliminating a division, a segment, or a product line. Okay. Kung gusto nyo maging segurista, kung napanood nyo na yung video ko about differential cost analysis sa YouTube, ang isa sa tip ko sa inyo, yun nga lang kasi mawawala yung essence ng pagiging differential cost kung magto-total or full costing ka. Pero kung gusto mo kasi talaga makasiguro sa sagot mo, yun yung checking mo eh, no? Yung full costing. Kapag ka po kasi ang problem ay tungkol sa elimination, or addition of a product line, mas makakasiguro ka talaga kung magfo-full costing ka na parang what happens to the total income of the entity if I really drop this segment. So what you do is you really erase it. Talagang tatanggalin mo. Tapos, so syempre mawawala yung selling price mo doon tsaka variable cost. So basically the CM goes away. wala na yung CM for that specific product line. Pero syempre yung mga fixed cost mo sasabihin naman sa problem sa inyo na um, the selling expenses would be eradicated kasi wala ka nang binebenta. But allocated costs like depreciation or utilities, usually yan yung mga hindi mo maiiwasan, 'di ba? Meron tayong mga utilities na ina-allocate lang per product line, 'di ba? Na magtanggal ka man ng product line na isa, hindi mawawala yung share nun. Maa-allocate lang siya sa ibang product line ng mas malaking amount, no? So yun yung sinasabi ko na mas maganda kung magfo-full costing kayo. Although mawawala nga yung essence ng differential cost kung ganun ang gagawin yung technique. But any technique will actually be correct, no? Pero ito yung technique naman natin kung differential costs lang. Gagamitan nyo ng ano talaga, ng utak. Utak in a sense that mawawala ba to or hindi? Kasi kung hindi naman pala mawawala to at tanggalin ko man to o hindi, ganun pa rin siya. Yun yung mga bagay na irrelevant sa decision natin. Okay, so isa-isahin natin. Okay? Doyle Company has 3 divisions, so R, S, and T. Ito daw po si Division R, pinag-iisipang tanggalin kasi walang ambag, net loss, no? Sa unang tingin kasi talaga mga kapatid, kapag ka ang isang segment or division ay net loss na, una mong iisipin, tanggalin na kaya yan. Wala may naambag kasi net loss eh. But you will be actually surprised that at times, even though a certain division is net loss, but when you eradicate that segment, your income or the total income of the entity would actually go down further. May ganun eh, no? Kasi ang nangyari, yung contribution margin niya pala ay isang malaking kontribusyon sa mismong income ng company. Minsan nangyayari yun, no? So, what you have to do is to decide fully in each of the revenue and cost items that when I drop this product line, would this be retained or not? No, yun yung magiging decision factor mo. Ngayon, medyo pwede kayo lituhin sa problem. May mga percentages na ibibigay, parang ganito. 25%, 75% will be uh, will be eradicated, or 30% will be retained, yung mga ganun. So tapos hindi pa naka-variable, katulad nito, hindi naman naka-variable costing yung problem natin, naka-absorption costing siya. So ikaw pa ang magsi-split, 'di ba? Ng kung ano yung variable tsaka fixed cost sa kanya, 'di ba? So check niyo mabuti. Okay. Cost of goods sold is 75% variable and 25% fixed. Of the fixed cost, 60% are avoidable if the division is closed. So check nyo mabuti yon. Kung maa-avoid ang 60%, unavoidable ang 40%. Hindi siya mawawala. Okay? If all of the selling expenses relating to the division, all of the selling expenses rather, relating to the division would be eliminated if division R is eliminated. Totoo naman. Kasi wala ka naman ng binibenta, so it's pretty much the same effect with your selling expenses. You are dropping the segment, you are dropping the product line, so the related selling expense for that would really be eradicated, right? Oh, yeah. Okay. And then of the administrative expenses, 90% are applied from corporate cost. So ano ibig sabihin? 10% lang ma-avoid mo kasi 90% comes from ang tawag dito, comes from corporate costs that are only allocated. Okay? Tandaan nyo yun pag ina-allocate lang ang cost, uncontrollable yun ng manager eh. And one thing nga pala na kailangan ko ipaalala sa inyo, huwag nyong sisisihin ang manager sa performance evaluation sa mga bagay na hindi niya kontrolado. Okay? Sa ano yun actually? Ba't ko ba namanggit agad? Pang responsibility accounting pala yun. Pero it actually is related here. Do not blame a manager more so when we're talking about performance evaluation. Don't blame the kids. Don't blame the don't blame the manager on the things that is not his control. Example is mga cost na ina-allocate lang. Hindi niya kontrolado yung na-allocate lang sa kanya. Okay, so baka magtampo. Okay, so ang tanong sa atin, kung i-drop natin si Division R, ano po mangyayari sa income ng buong company? Okay? Siyempre, mawawala si sales. So, ang effect niya, negative 1 million agad. Pero may mga ma-avoid ka namang cost of goods sold. So, an avoidance of a cost is a positive amount. Bakit? You avoided a gastos. When you avoid a cost, it's actually positive. So, what you need to do is, ganito. Cost of goods sold is 70% variable. So, 800,000 multiplied by 75% is 600,000. Siyempre, pag variable cost related to sales, syempre cost of goods sold dyan mawawala. Yan, di ba? So automatically, yung 75% variable cost component nitong 800,000 which is 600,000, mawala din yan, di ba? Pero syempre, fixed cost, medyo problematic nga tayo dyan dahil fixed cost nga eh. Minsan, mawala o hindi nawawala fixed cost. Sabi sa problem, sa fixed cost naman daw ay 60% will be avoidable. So, dun sa 800,000 natin, 25% ang fixed. So, ang fixed cost of goods sold natin is actually 200,000. 40% lang ang hindi ma-avoid kasi 60% will be avoidable. Parang baliktad yung nasabi ko kanina. Okay, so if 60% will be avoidable, just multiply your 200,000 by 60% and you get 120,000. So you will be able to avoid fixed cost amounting to 120,000. 60% ng 200,000 total fixed cost. Okay? So that gives you 720,000. Bakit positive? Cost savings po kasi yun. Okay? Kasi pag nawalan ka ng gasto, syempre cost savings, that's a positive amount. Okay? Tapos, lahat daw po ng selling expenses, goodbye. Well, sensibly it is. Wala ka nang binibenta, di ba? So, cost savings yung 100. Tapos, yung corporate cost nga lang po natin na administrative expenses, 90% kasi. So, hindi natin kontrolado. 10% lang makokontrol mo. So, 10% is goodbye. So, 250,000 times 10%, 25,000. So, although mawawalan ka ng 1 million sales, magkakaroon ka naman ng cost savings na. Add natin yung cost savings. 720 plus 100 plus 25. Ang nangyari, cost savings mo lang 845. So, compare mo ngayon. Mawawalan ako ng benta worth 1 million, pero makakatipid naman ako ng 845. Parang hindi maganda because 1 million negative, 845 ang positive mo. 155 negative. Okay? Mas malaki yung effect ng nawalang sales kesa sa cost savings. So kapag ka po kayo ay magda-drop ng division, dapat mas malaki ang cost savings kesa sa sales na mawawala. In our problem, ay mas malaki pa po yung nawala sa ating sales kesa sa cost savings. So, bababa po siya by 155,000. Okay. Yun po yun. Problem 9. Problem 9 is actually a problem about special order. Okay. Ano po yung mga dapat nyong tandaan kapag ka po ang problem ay tungkol sa special order? Number 1, check if the entity has an excess capacity or not. If the entity has an excess capacity, usually ang tanong na lang dyan, what will be the increase in income? And usually, ang sagot lang naman pag increase in income, yung additional contribution margin because makakapagbenta ka eh. Why? Fixed cost will be the same even if you accept the special order because you have excess capacity. And when we say you have excess capacity, you have the capacity to do it without dropping your normal sales. Medyo nagiging problematic tayo kapag ka Ang problem mo sa special order, meron kang idadrop na regular sales. Kunyari, ang production mo 25,000 units. Ang nabebenta mo 25,000 units din. Tapos may special order ka ng mas kahit tapos kunyari yung special order mo tinapatan ka pa nung gusto ng special order, mas mataas yung selling price. Huwag kayong masisilaw doon ha. Huwag kayong masisilaw doon. Hindi porke mas malaki. Kunyari, you're regularly selling your products at 12 pesos. A special order is being offered for you for 20 pesos. Huwag kayong masisilaw doon. Lalo na kapag wala kayong excess capacity. Baka mas malaki pa yung mawawala sa inyo pag dinrap nyo yung excess capacity. Ay, sorry. Pag dinrap nyo yung normal sales. Okay? So, medyo nagiging problematic tayo kapag in answering the special order, meron kang i-goodbye na regular sales. So, opportunity cost yun. No? Mawawala yung contribution margin from regular sales. Ang ipapalit mo sa kanya, contribution margin of the of the special order that you accepted. What if your new special order will require you a specialized equipment? O the additional cost, 'di ba? So, wag kayong basta-basta sasagot sa problem na lalo na kung ang tanong ay hindi naman numeric, tas ang tanong lang sa inyo ay should the company accept the special order? Yes or no lang, no? Minsan may ganung problem eh. Walang numbers. And I mean, may numbers yung mismong problem, may amount, pero ang tanong lang sa inyo ay yes because tsaka no because. Pero walang numbers yung sagot. So, ingat kayo sa mga ganun tanong. Thomas Company is currently operating at a loss of 15. The sales manager has received a special order for 5,000 units, which normally sells for 35. Cost associated is materials of 6, labor of 10, overhead of 3, fixed overhead 4. Variable selling 2. The special order would allow the use of a slightly lower grade of material. So ito medyo favorable sa company kasi mas mura ang cost eh. Bababa daw ang materials by 1.5, selling by 1. Check nyo ha, baka yung problem ay decrease by tsaka decrease to. So ingat kayo doon. Maraming nadali niyan nung midterm. Oo, kasi yung problem, yung isa decrease by, yung isa decrease to. Ingat kayo doon ha. Pag decrease by, babawas mo. Pag decrease to, yun na yun. If Thomas wants this special order to increase the total net income to 10,000, what sales price must be quoted for the 5,000 units? Itong problem, medyo kakaiba. Walang sinabi kung may idadrop kang normal sales, wala ring sinabi kung may excess capacity ka. Pero, ang atake ng tanong sa inyo, required income. Posible rin yun. Kaya ito yung ginamit kong example. Okay. So, you are currently operating at a loss of $15,000. In order to increase income to 10,000, so, syempre, ang i-add mo 25 kasi kung negative 15 plus 25, so your income should increase by 25 to get to positive 10. Negative 15 plus positive 25, positive 10. So ang required increase in income mo in accepting this order, 25,000 or 5 pesos per unit. So ganito na gagawin mo. Materials mo, dating 6, nabawasan ng 1.5 on the special order, 4.5. Tapos labor mo, 10. Variable overhead mo, 3. Fixed overhead mo is applied fixed overhead. Okay, nga pala. Bakit hindi kinonsider sa problem yung applied fixed overhead? Whether you accept the special order or not, you will still be incurring the same fixed cost. It's irrelevant in the decision. So dito tayo sa variable selling expense. Selling expense is 2 minus 1. It's 1. So your production cost for this special order, except for the fixed cost because you will still be incurring that, 18.5. You add the additional profit per unit of 5 to get your required selling price of letter A, 23.5. Okay. Pero mga madalas na tanong dyan, ito medyo kakaiba yung tanong kasi eh. No? Baka lang ma-encounter nyo kasi. Pero ang madalas na tanong talaga dyan is you will be checking the contribution margin before accepting the special order and after accepting the special order. If you have excess capacity and the same fixed cost would still be incurred, basically you accept kasi you will have additional contribution margin. Okay? Pero check nyo rin, what if mas mababa pa pala yung selling price na kino-quote sa inyo for the special order. Kahit may excess capacity ka, baka mas mataas naman yung variable cost mo kaysa sa mismong selling price. Hindi mo pa rin tatanggapin. Okay? So, endpoint, mag-compute ka pa din. Okay? Ganon. So, problem 10. Ito naman po ay medyo theoretical, no? What if tanungin kayo ng ganito sa exam? From old machine, magpapalit ka ng new machine. You're deciding if you will be using still the old machine and just retain it, or you just buy a new one. No, sometimes it's better to buy a new one, and sometimes you'll be surprised that it's much more beneficial pala to go back to the old machine. Okay. Refer to Woodville Motors. The 4,000 annual operating costs that are common to the old and new machine is an example of what? Anong sabi ko sa inyo? When a cost is common, it's the same for any of the options, old or new machine. Yung 4,000 na yun nakapaloob kasi dito. Yun kasi yan. Okay? It's already considered irrelevant in your decision. If there is no difference whether you choose scenario A or B, it's irrelevant in your decision. Okay, next. Yung 9,000 naman daw na cost ng original machine, binili mo daw dati yung old machine for 9,000. Ano daw po tawag natin dyan? Sunk cost po siya. Bakit? Palitan mo man yung old machine ng new machine or i-retain mo man yung old machine, nagastos na po natin yung $9,000, sunk cost na po siya. Mga ginastos siya sa mga ex nyo ay sunk cost. Mag-break kayo o hindi, nagastosan nyo na sila. Okay, next. The 20,000 cost of the new machine. Ito naman, yung 20,000 na to. Yan po ay future relevant cost, or kung sakali meron sa problem, ang choice ay out-of-pocket cost, o yun po yung sagot dyan. It is a future relevant cost. It is an out-of-pocket cost. Why? There is a required cash outlay for you to purchase this new machine. The new machine is $20,000 and you need to pay $20,000 to purchase that. Okay? So it's a future relevant cost, and specifically it's a cash outlay. So it's an out-of-pocket cost. Okay, and then the estimated $500 salvage value, ito po yun, okay, of the existing machine in 10 years, yan po ba ay sunk cost or opportunity cost? Kaso sa opportunity cost, tatlo pa. Selling the existing machine now, opportunity cost of keeping the existing machine for 10 years, or keeping the existing machine and buying the new machine. The answer is letter B. It's an opportunity cost of selling the existing machine now. Bakit? If you sell this old machine and you change it to a new machine, meron ka sanang $500 na makukuha at the end of 10 years if you retain or sell this old machine. Okay? So it's an opportunity cost ng alin? Nung pinili mo na ibenta or i-retain si old machine at palitan ng new machine. Mawawala kasi sa iyo yung chance na makakuha ng 500. Pero kung yun lang kasi yung point of consideration mo, salvage value lang, mas okay pa nga yung salvage value mo dito sa kabila, di ba? No? Pero as far as that is concerned, no, as far as the old machine is concerned, mawawalan ka ng chance to get sana $500 in selling it after 10 years. Should you retain it and sell it after 10 years. Okay? So, opportunity cost siya. Let's have a 10-minute break. It's 7:38 plus 2, 7:40. So 7:50, 12 minutes. Let's go back by 7:50. I'll be going back to problem 4 just to finalize it. And then we finish these remaining 2 topics. So let's see each other again and hear each other again by 7:50. Game na? Game na o game na ulit? Okay, so hanggang alas 8 na pala. Parang medyo napahaba pala yung pag-expound ko, no? Di ba, medyo maikli na lang naman yung dalawa. And medyo theoretical naman yung responsibility accounting. Okay, diretso na ako, ha? Sige, yung problem 4 na pinag-uusapan natin kanina. Teka, share ko na yung screen, mga bebe. Okay. So, number 1, can you hear me clearly again, mga kapatid?
Yes po, sir.
Okay, screen. Can you see it?
Opo.
And then laser pointer.
Yes din po.
Okay, sabi sa inyo mali eh. Check, okay, mag-agree na tayo, check nyo din, no? Pero mali yung kanina. Sabi na eh, na-sense kong mali siya. Okay, so ulitin natin ha. The company has a policy of maintaining a finished goods inventory 40% of the next month sales. So ililista natin, April, May, June. Okay, 4,000, 5,000, 3,000. Our point of consideration is May. Okay? If your sales in May is 5,000, the ending inventory for April is 40% of the next month sales. What is your next month sales for April? Eh di May, di ba? So, 5,000 times 40%, 2,000. Yun ang i-bring forward mong beginning inventory. Tama ako, 2,000. Di ba? So, mali yung kanina. Mali yung kanina. Okay? Tapos work back na lang tayo. Paano naman tong 1,200? Eh di 40% ng 3,000. So 1,200. Tapos sales na 5,000. So add back. 1,200 plus 5, 6,200 minus 2, 4,200. Okay? 4,200 times 3 hours per unit. 12,600 times 13, 163,800. Letter B ang sagot. Okay? So yun. May problema po tayo here or okay na po tayo? Ano mga kapatid, parang okay na 'no? Ako rin nalito kanina, eh, 'no, pero ayan, tinabilit ko na ng maayos. Tama nga naman 'no, so if your ending inventory is 40% of the next month, so your next month as April is concerned, May 'yun. So 5,000 times 40%, 2,000. 'Yun yung ibi-bring forward natin as 2,000. Pero thank you po sa mga nag-raise ng concern kanina, ayan. Pero yun nga po. So mali po yung kanina, ito napalitan na po natin. So 163,800 po ang sagot, letter B. Okay, so yun po. Diretso na po ako ng responsibility accounting. Alis lang ako dito. Ayan. Medyo theoretical lang naman to. So carry na natin to. Lapit na. Okay, so responsibility accounting, balance scorecards and performance measures. Ganito lang po ha. Pag centralization or centralized, isa lang ang decision maker and the decision is being applied to the totality of the entity. For example, ko sa video was Apple. Yung CEO ng Apple ang nagbababa ng lahat ng decisions to all departments. Ang advantage niya, the company acts as one kasi one lang yung decision maker, lalo na when you're maintaining a certain quality requirement like Apple. And kita naman natin sa kanila na na-achieve nila yon, di ba? Yung level of quality as to iPad, MacBooks, iPhones, di ba? Yon. Pag decentralization, the power, the responsibility, and decision making is being delegated into the different segments, into the different divisions. Tapos nagkakaroon tayo ng division manager. Okay? So, ganun po siya. Pag decentralization, no? Ang pagandahan lang ng decentralization, mas yung decision making ay mas napapalaganap natin in a sense that more minds are working which can contribute to the totality of the entity, although there's a certain disadvantage that one division acts on their own without answering the objective of the whole company. So hindi na sila nagiging goal congruent, no? At saka isa pa lagi niyong tatandaan kapag decentralization, it's very important na meron pong accountability ang managers natin, no? Because they have the power and the authority to do the decisions for their own divisions or segment. They will also be responsible for the results of those decisions that they make. Okay? So yun po yung decentralized structure, which sums up to a concept called responsibility accounting, na ang atin pong entity ay dinidivide natin into certain responsibility centers and we assign a decision maker or a manager for that, no? And basically, kaya siya tinawag na responsibility accounting, it's on a level that someone is responsible for each of the divisions, and that responsibility in a sense that you answer now the responsibility with or the authority rather to actually plan the operations and the decisions to be made there and the results of the decisions that you made there. Okay, so rooting from that concept, so we have the different centers, yung cost center, revenue and profit center, tsaka investment center. Pag cost center, sila po ay isang section ng entity na more on costs lang yung nai-incur. Although nakaka-help din sila in generating revenue because they help in operations, di ba? They help in operations, so basically they help in earning revenue. Although, yung pag-help nila in earning revenue, it's a bit indirect in a sense that you cannot actually match it on a one-on-one basis. Okay? But it actually helps indirectly in generating revenue, no? For example, accounting department, IT department, maintenance staff, or if you have a customer service center that answers the queries or concerns of your customers, so it adds up to the quality of the products that you actually serve to your customers. So it indirectly affects your revenue, but it does not actually have a one-on-one comparison with revenues and cost. Kasi more on cost lang talaga yung check mo sa kanya. Okay? So yun po yung mga cost center natin. One tool for measuring their performance is actually variance analysis, because pag nag-over budget ka sa cost, ayaw natin nun. Kasi the higher the cost, mas lower po yung profit natin. Okay? Kapag ka naman po revenue center, it's completely about generating revenue. Although madalang po kasi yung mga ganong responsibility center, because when you are generating revenue, automatically you are incurring costs as well. So, papasok ka ngayon sa konsepto ng profit center. Okay? Which is, it's a profit center is responsible for generating revenues and at the same time controlling the costs and expenses relating to that responsibility center. So example, individual restaurants in a large restaurant chain or local branches ng nationwide distribution business, departments or subunits where profitability can be measured. So the main measurement tool for revenue and profit center is the endpoint net income, which is your financial performance that can be seen in your income statement. Okay? And then yung investment center naman po, these are sometimes standalone companies in the whole entity or in consolidated financial statements or in group financial statements where there is a parent and there are subsidiaries. Yun po yung mga investment center natin, no? An investment center is not only about generating revenues and controlling costs and expenses. They actually have resources to manage as well. And they also use those resources in order for them to generate revenues. So basically, what happens in an investment center, they report their own income statement and their own balance sheet. Basically, they have their own financial statements. For example, a division of a large organization, subsidiary companies of group of companies, or branch offices of banks and other business units, or university campuses, yan, mga ganyan. May mga sariling FS yan eh, no? Hindi na lang kasi profitability ang tinitignan mo. Yung utilization din nila ng assets or resources na meron sila. Okay? It can be measured by ROI, residual income, or economic value added. Okay? So yun po yung mga tinatawag nating investment center. Going deeper naman, Norton and Kaplan introduced naman po yung tinatawag po nating balance scorecard. When we say balance scorecard is you measure the performance of an entity not only in quantitative terms, you also look at the qualitative or non-financial terms. Basically, it's not about numbers already. Okay, so you will be looking at the vision and strategy. Balanced scorecard is actually discussed in strategic management because it's much more useful there. But applying it on our perspective, in performance measurement, it's very important that you don't only look into the financial side. You also will be looking on the non-financial side as well. So the first part of it is the financial side, which is yung kinasanayan natin, measuring profit performance, measuring the financial health of the entity. Okay? And then, kapag ka naman po customer side naman, ang tinitignan po natin is, can we actually deliver what our customers are asking us, no? And the quality of products and services that we provide them. Okay? Are they satisfied with what or what we provide to them, or in the whole industry, are we getting a large share on it or small lang? Or are the are the consumers aware of what we are as a company, or our brand? Is our brand impacting what they are, or parang is our brand does our brand rather create an impact on our consumers? Okay, you also need to check that. And then another thing that you need to check is syempre internal business processes. Ito naman, from the word itself, internal, meaning kung anong ginagawa nyo talaga sa loob, no? So, kailangan magawa nyo dyan process improvements, baka kailangan tanggalin na natin, hindi dapat, kailangan matanggal natin yung mga non-value added activities natin, di ba? Yung mga ganon. Okay? Basically, it's just improvement of how you do your operations. Kasi, if you improve how you do your things inside, it will emanate outside. No, you will be able to give your customers better service and better quality of products. And then lastly, it's learning and growth. So it's much more about your people and thinking about them. No? Kasi it will sum up to, if your people are motivated to work, then it will add up to an improved process. And when you give or if when you have an improved process inside, you can actually be able to answer what your customers are looking for, which will bring profitability. So it's not actually just a step, it's actually an integration of everything, no? Kaya nga siya balanced scorecard, you will look on all these perspective. Dapat lahat yan favorable sa atin ang maging effect, no? So ganun po. Okay, yun lang naman ang balance scorecard. So diretso tayo ng konting lang naman, medyo madali lang naman to, no? Checking ROI tsaka residual income, no? Very easy lang naman. Okay, so Vegan Sticks had the best year ever with sales of $4,500,000 and operating profit of $950,000. Your balance sheet at the start of the year is assets of 20 million with accumulated depreciation 5M, and then depreciation expense during the year is 1M. So syempre yung accumulated depreciation mo madadagdagan at the end of the period. What will be your ROI? Okay, so this is how you calculate your ROI. You will be dividing your income to the average resources that you use. So at the beginning of the year, the net book value would be 20 minus 5, which is 15. However, at the end of the period, there's an additional depreciation. So what happens is, naging 6 million yung additional mong, naging 6 million yung accumulated depreciation mo. So 20 minus 6 is 14. So get the average is 14.5. So you compare it with 950,000. So 950,000 divided by 14.5, your ROI is 6.55%. Kung wala ka namang point of comparison, medyo walang sense yung 6.55%. Parang, okay, may bumalik sa ating 6.55%. So what? Parang ganon, no? Kung wala kang information na the required return on investment is 10%. So kunyari, kung lalagyan natin ng ganong perspective, the required ROI is 10%. Did the company have the best year ever? Parang hindi, di ba? Because what you need is 10%, you only got 6.55. So habang nagkakaroon tayo ng point of comparison, mas nagkakaroon siya ng sense. At wala siyang sense if you will just be computing it on itself. Okay? Yung next problem, meron siyang sense ng konti kasi you are now doing comparisons. Okay? Errol Hill Medical Company will be evaluating the performance of their 3 divisions. Okay? So we have Boo Boo division, 499. Average assets is 6238. Splint is 350 over 3889. And then intensive care is 570 over 95. mas may kahulugan ng ROI kung magagamit mo na siya as a point of comparison. Ano daw po ang division na nagpa-perform ng pinakamaganda? So, syempre, the division performs at its best if it has a high ROI. Or in other terms, you can see what division has the highest ROI. What division is performing at its best when it has the highest ROI. Okay, so for Boo Boo, it's 8%. For Splint, it's 9%. Its intensive care is 6%. So basically, just get the higher. Splint division is the best division, which is 9%. Pero hindi naman din po tayo limited lang sa pag-check ng ROI kasi depende pa rin talaga sa company performance on how they contribute to profitability. Paano naman po yung konsepto ng residual income? Ganito lang po, no? Jim's furniture manufacturer builds tables and has several large pieces of equipment in the sawmill, so on and so forth. Operating revenue is $100,000. Tapos nag-utilize daw ng 500,000 ng assets, and then required return is 10%. So kung ang required return mo is 10%, so 500,000 times 10%, your required return is 50,000. But your profit is 100,000, so may residual income ka pang 50,000. Ang mini-measure natin sa residual income, yes, you might have a positive net operating revenue or operating income, but will that be able to cover your required return on investment? Kasi kung hindi, wala siyang sense. Kumita ka lang pero hindi ka umabot dun sa requirement mo. Okay? Dito, favorable kasi ang required mo lang is 50,000, ang kinita mo is 100,000, may residual income ka pang 50,000. So, pwede mo siyang magamit sa ibang bagay. Yan, sinabi dito. This means that Jim's Mill is making more than the minimum 10% required and way more than the wholesale business. So it's better off investing here in this company because pwede pang magamit yung residual income na yun into other different functions like capital expansion or pambayad ng utang or mangbigay ng dividends kasi may sobra, no? Kung ito yung required rate of return natin, dapat yung income natin mas mahigitan pa natin yun. Itong sobrang to, yun yung sinasabi nating residual income. Again, kung positive ang net income, congratulations din naman talaga yon, no problem. It's just that when we set a specific requirement and there is a residual income, that's much more better. Okay? So ang target natin, a positive residual income. Okay, diretso na ako ng transfer pricing and pricing decisions. Transfer price is the price at which products and services are transferred between two subunits of an entity. So you're one whole entity, there are two divisions. This division produces a unit or a material or a component or a subunit that is used in the next department or in another department, or it produces something that can be sold standalone. Pwede rin ganon. Okay? One division of an entity manufactures a part or component. These parts can be transferred to another division or sell it outside, no? So, nagsaset tayo ng transfer price as a way to check the profitability of each responsibility center. Pero, tatandaan nyo to ha, ginagamit lang siya for internal decision making, but it is not, or it does not have an external effect in the financial statements that we report under financial accounting. So it's much more of a profitability measure between responsibility centers. But these transfer prices are not reported in the FS. Internal profit measurement lang. Sir, bakit? Let me give you an example. Group of companies. Pag group of companies, may parent company, may subsidiaries. On the perspective of financial accounting, wala pa kasi kayo sa third year, no? Pero under IFRS 10, consolidated financial statements, and IFRS 3, business combinations, we report group of companies as one whole entity. So as far as financial accounting is concerned, you are only one company. on the concept of consolidation and on the concept of business combination, because you are only viewed as one whole company, you cannot have a revenue coming from yourself. So parang ang dating ganito. 'Di ba may transfer? So sa perspective ngayon ng management accounting, pupunta tayo ngayon sa transfer price. Nagse-set si subsidiary A ng transfer price na babayaran ni subsidiary B kung sakaling magta-transfer siya ng any units or subunits dun sa subsidiary B. So magkakaroon ngayon ng sales transaction between subsidiaries. But in financial accounting, we don't look at them as separate companies because they are actually one whole company only. So you cannot have a revenue by coming from yourself. In financial accounting, ini-eliminate natin yan. Ang tawag natin dyan, intercompany transactions, ini-eliminate natin yan. No? Kasi you cannot have a receivable, a payable, and a revenue coming from yourself because you are viewed only as one company. Now, applying it now on managerial accounting or in a managerial accounting perspective, these transfer prices that are being set from one company to another or from one subsidiary to another becomes only an internal profit measurement because it's not reported in the financial statements. So pagbabanggain mo ngayon kung saan nagmi-meet si financial accounting tsaka si managerial accounting. In financial accounting, it's on the concept of consolidation. In management accounting, it's on the concept of internal profit measurement. Doon sila nagtatagpo. Kaya meron tayong transfer prices. Kasi baka nagtatanong kayo, parang iisang company lang naman, ba't nagbebentahan pa sa isa't isa? Yun po ang function niya. Kaya ka merong transfer prices kasi you want to have an internal profit measurement which is not reported in the financial statements. Kailan lang siya nagkakaroon ng epekto sa FS? Kapag dahil sa transfer of subunits or components from one division to another, nagkakaroon ng decline in cost of production. Ayun, dun siya nagkakaroon ng effect sa FS. Kasi although nagkaroon ng intercompany transaction, pero dahil dun sa intercompany transaction, bumaba yung cost of production, bigla siya nagkaroon ng effect sa cost. Hindi natin maitatago sa FS yun. Kung bumaba ang cost mo dahil dyan sa mga internal nyong arrangement. Hindi natin maiiwasan yun kung talagang bababa ang cost of production. But on a very basic sense, since you can't have a transaction with your own, on a financial accounting perspective, transfer prices now on managerial accounting perspective becomes only an internal profit measurement. Okay? Baka matanong lang sa exam, but that's the root of it all no? Kung bakit siya, kasi baka magtaka kayo, sir, bakit nagbebentahan pa same company lang din naman? It's actually a measurement of profitability kahit internal na. Para makapag-promote ng goal congruence. You will be setting a transfer price na dadamayan mo naman si kabilang company na or kabilang division na lilipatan mo ng mga subcomponents mo. Okay? Ayan na, sinabi ko na. Transfer prices are often used for internal reporting purposes in an entity that has independent segments, and multinational companies would have to consider different international laws and tax regulations. Kaya nga po ang PwC, ang Isla Lipanahin Company, meron silang sariling tax department na ang focus lang ay transfer pricing. Ang pangalan ay mga friends namin yan doon. TaxCon TP transfer pricing. So yun yung function nila. Pero more on tax kasi yun, tax compliance, yung department na yun. Tapos yung ano nila, yung kabilang department, kami na yun, mga client accounting services. Yun yung office namin sa Isla Lipana. Magkatabi kami ng opisina. No? Ay, magkatabi kami ng area. No? Ang nagsiseparate lang sa amin ay isang, ang tawag dito, conference room. Yan. Training room pala. Okay, so ang lagi niyong tatandaan, ito po ang transfer price. The minimum transfer price is the sum of outlay cost or yung ginastos mo in transferring and producing that product. Basically, hindi nakasama ang fixed cost kasi whether you sell it outside or you transfer it to your co-division, you will still be incurring the same fixed cost. Kaya usually hindi nakasama yung outlay cost hindi kasama yung fixed cost sa outlay cost. Kasi ibenta mo man sa labas o hindi, you will be incurring the same fixed cost. Okay? And then ang opportunity cost naman po, kung sakaling ita-transfer ko to sa co-division ko sa kabila, ano yung mawawala sa aking normal sales? So mawawalan ako ng contribution margin on my regular sales. So kailangan mo siyang singilin dun sa mawawala sa'yo. Okay? Parang ganon. Okay. Sige po. Okay. Pwede pong ang ating mga transfer prices ay cost-based, depende sa cost of production, or ititignan natin kung magkano siya binibenta sa labas, market-based, o di po kaya mag-uusap yung dalawang managers, negotiated transfer price. Mag-a-agree sila sa transfer price na magiging favorable sa departments nila. Okay? Pagka naman po pricing division, so yung pinag-usapan po natin sa transfer pricing, internal pricing. Pagka naman po pricing pricing decisions, dinidesisyonan mo na kung magkano yung sell. Can you hear me again, mga kapatid?
Yes po.
Ayan. Na-mute yata ako. Wait lang. Can you hear me again?
Yes po, sir.
Okay, that's nice. So, yun po. Kanina, yung pinag-uusapan natin sa transfer pricing ay internal pricing. Pag pricing decisions naman, dinidesisyonan mo na yung proper selling prices mo outside. In short, pag pricing decisions naman ang pinag-uusapan natin, how much is your selling price external? Okay? Pinaka-importante pong dinedetermine natin is your selling price because that's the starting point of your profitability. That is actually your first line item in your income statement. You might have you might have known the number of units that you intend to sell during a specific period, but your selling price and your sales revenue should be able to cover all of the cost that you are incurring. Pansinin nyo ang accounting. Meron tayong separate subject for cost management tsaka cost accounting kasi napakaraming techniques on how to incur cost and allocate this cost. Pero ilan lang ang subjects natin na nagdi-discuss ng revenue accounting. Nandun lang sa advanced accounting, IFRS 15, revenue from contracts with customers. Tapos yung income statement mo na sa financial accounting, yun lang. Wala tayong revenue accounting na separate subject. Pero tingnan nyo yung cost accounting tsaka cost management. Ilang subject siya? Dalawa agad, di ba? Ganon kasi, no? Pero very important yung selling price kasi yun yung mismong magko-cover ng lahat ng costs mo eh, 'di ba? So dapat yung selling price na masaset mo should be able to cover everything. Yun nga lang, marami kang kailangan factors na dapat i-consider. Meron po tayong cost of production. Siyempre, yung selling price mo, dapat makover niya lahat ng cost of production. Yun nga lang, kung sakali ang industry mo ay under ng regulation ng government, let's say for example, mga gas and oil, regulated yung prices mo dyan. So hindi ka pwedeng basta-basta magtaas or magbaba ng presyo. Regulated ka kasi. Or yung flow ng economy, titignan mo din. Ikaw ba ang leader sa industry mo? So you can be a price maker. Kung medyo kulelat ka dun sa industry mo, susundan mo yung prices niya. Price taker ka lang. Okay? Or you can also look at the actions of your competitors. If you're selling the same products, nagbaba siya ng presyo, kailangan magbaba ka rin ng presyo. Wala nang bibili sa'yo, mas mura siya eh. Diba? And then, customer behavior and demand. Are we able really to deliver the quality of the products and services that our customers are expecting from the selling price that we are setting? No? So, kailangan natin i-consider din yan. Okay, so itong huling two problems, parang one problem na lang yata to. Transfer pricing po ito. Okay. Computer Solutions Corporation manufactures and sell various high-tech office automation products. Two divisions of Office Products Incorporated is Computer Chip tsaka yung mismong Computer Division. Si Computer Chip daw po ay nagmamanufacture ng super chip na pwedeng i-transfer kay computer division, pwede mo ring ibenta sa labas. Okay? Yan yung mga sinasabi ko sa inyo na pwede yung minamanufacture mo, pwede ibenta sa labas, pwede ring i-transfer sa kabilang department or kabilang division. But you are just one whole company. May transfer prices lang kayo. Okay? So meron kayong selling price to outsiders na 50 and then variable cost na 20, so on and so forth. Presently, the computer division purchases no chips from the computer chips. And then ang nangyayari kasi si computer division daw, kailangan ng 4,000 chips each month. Kumukuha pa siya externally. So hindi siya loyal. Hindi siya loyal sa sarili niyang company, kumukuha pa siya sa iba, no? For $45. Assume that next month's cost and levels of operations are similar. What is the minimum transfer price? Ano nga po yun? Outlay cost plus opportunity cost. Unahin natin i-check yung opportunity cost. 4,000 chips ang kailangan. Ang monthly capacity ng division, 10,000. Ang external sales, 6,000. Wala pa siyang currently internal sales. So kung 4,000 ang kailangan, may excess capacity ba tayo? Yes. Dahil may excess capacity tayo, may mawawala ba sa atin? Wala. O di wala ka opportunity cost. So outlay cost lang ang titignan mo. Sabi ko nga sa inyo, pag outlay cost, wala tayong pakialam sa fixed cost kasi if transfer mo man sa kabila o ibenta mo sa labas, you will still be incurring the same fixed cost. So singilin, may incur mo yan, whatever happens, di ba? So singilin mo lang siya dun sa variable cost. So your minimum transfer price is yung ginagastos mo for your variable cost. The answer is letter C, $20. Haba ng problem, no? Yun lang yung tanong. Ganun yun. Okay? Next natin. Magkano naman ang maximum, no, na transfer price? O edi pantay mo kung magkano niya binabayaran dun sa supplier niya. Total di siya loyal, 'di ba? O edi kunin mo yung 45. Okay? Pwede mo siyang singilin ng 20 pero as to maximum transfer price, wag naman sa 50. Yung 45 lang kung magkano niya binabayaran sa external supplier. Bakit ganoon? Dadaan kayo ng negotiation eh. It's being sold outside at 50. Pero my supplier kasi gives it to me at 45 lang. So you give it to me at 45 na lang. Yun yun. Okay? So the answer is letter B, 45. Di ba? May kwento-kwento pa. Okay, next. Okay, two possible transfer prices for that 4,000 units are under consideration. 35 and 40. So assume daw natin na pinag-uusapan nila kung 35 or 40. Corporate profits will be blank if 35 is selected instead of 40. Kung sakali daw po ang transfer price ay 35 or kung sakaling 40, ano daw po mangyayari sa corporate profits? Anong sabi ko sa inyo? This is just an internal measurement of profitability. Since these transfer prices are for internal use, only external profits will not be affected by this. So the answer is letter D, the same. Corporate profits will not be affected because intercompany transactions are eliminated and transfer prices are only used for internal consideration or internal profit measurement. If a transfer between the two divisions is arranged next period at a price of 40, the profits of computer chip division will, ano mangyayari? Okay. So yung relevant cost mo dyan is yung, may relevant costing din kasi to. Ang relevant cost lang natin dyan is yung 20, tapos pinili daw po nilang transfer price is 40. Hindi mo gagalawin sa fixed cost kasi nga po, ulitin ko lang, ibenta mo man sa labas o i-transfer mo lang sa kabila, you will still be incurring the same fixed cost. So irrelevant ang fixed cost. 40 minus 20, that's 20 times 4,000, 80,000. So the answer is letter D. The profit for the computer chip division will increase by 80,000 compared to the prior period. But kung ang tinatanong sa inyo ay magkano ang increase or decrease in profit sa corporate profits in the income statement ng financial accounting, the answer is no effect. Kasi nga po, transfer prices yan, internal lang. Okay. Ay, tapos na pala ako. Okay, so for detailed problem calculations and theory discussions po, nandun po siya sa Searchuas Accounting Lessons PH. Lahat po yan. Ito po, business planning and short-term budgetary systems, differential cost analysis, responsibility accounting, transfer pricing. Ito po yung mga ambassadors natin na nag-i-introduce nung topic. Yan. That's Trixie from 2-4, Nicole from 2-3 ka ba, Nicole? And then Eka from BSA 218, and then Christine from 2-8. Ayun. So, sa master budget, dyan ko diniscuss mga kapatid yung budgeting process na konektado. As in, kung paano talaga gumawa from start to end. Tapos sa differential cost analysis naman, lahat ng scenarios na possible, may example ako. One problem each. Tapos medyo mahaba yung discussion ng responsibility accounting kasi ang dami kong theory na binigay doon na discussions. And then yung transfer pricing din. Meron tayong problems sa transfer pricing tsaka pagkuha ng cost and markup dun sa pricing decisions. So, ayan. Ngayon lang papasok si Nico. Okay. Sige, yun lamang po. Maraming salamat. And I'm opening down the floor to your questions. God is with you. You will overcome and you will succeed in the final examinations. Thank you very much. For kanina. Sir, ano daw pong pinagkaiba ng shout down A division tsaka drop A division? Pag drop A division, totally goodbye. Pag shutdown division, pause operations lang for a certain time period. Pag shutdown ang problem, i-check mo yung shutdown point, which is parang break-even point at shutdown, tsaka yung cost na may incur mo during the shutdown, tsaka kung magkano yung cost na gagastusin mo pag nag-reoperate ka na. Pero pag sinabing drop a division, as in talagang bye-bye, wala na. Tatanggalin mo na siya. Wala na siya, hindi na siya babalik. Yan. So ganito, kapag ang problem nyo ay shutdown a division, shutdown problem yon. So ano yung mga i-check mo? Shutdown point, cost of shutdown, tsaka cost of reopening or cost of restarting. Kapag ka naman po drop a division, ang problem mo doon, ang approach mo doon sa relevant costing is eliminate, retain, or add division. Yung pagka tinanggal mo siya, anong effect sa profit? Yun yung magiging techniques mo ng pag-answer ng problem kung sakaling shutdown or drop a division.
Polytechnic University of the Philippines, College of Accountancy and Finance Student Council, Academic Year 2020-2021, Certificate of Appreciation is awarded to Professor Kevin Troy M. Chua, MACY, CPA, CPP, CTP, in recognition of your valuable contribution as one of our honored facilitators in CAF Review Finals, given this 11th day of July in the year of our Lord 2021. To be signed by Aaron S. De Los Reyes, Counselor Head Academics Department, Aaron Paul M. Garing, Student Council President, Professor Mark Anisito R. Perlas, CPA, Student Council Advisor, and Professor Julieta G. Fonte, CPA PhD, Dean College of Accountancy and Finance. And thank you.